Hi, everyone. Very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. So we'll be starting the free program preview right on time in a few minutes. And thank you for joining in early. My name is Rasha Khan, and I'm your host for today's webinar. And I'm joining all the way from Bangalore, India. Would love to know where are you tuning in from. You can just drop us a hello with your name and where are you tuning in from, and let the global conversations begin here on the chat. We are also streaming live on our YouTube channel. So, folks who have joined us live, which I see a lot of you, welcome to you folks as well. And you can let us know your name and where are you tuning in from on the YouTube live chat box. So, it's always good to network, right? These events before we start the session. So, today's free program preview is about the Cloud Computing Postgraduate Program by Caltech, and we will be talking about how you can uncover your fastest route to a cloud computing career in 2024. I see the introductions have already started coming in. I see Norman has joined us from Nairobi, Kenya. Asim Ahmed has joined us from Pakistan. Wissam from Algeria. Victor from Indianapolis, US. Akhil from Hyderabad. I see Kumar has joined us from Marathe, India. I'm sorry, Kumar has joined us from India, and Anil from Bangalore. Marcel from California. Keep the introductions coming in. It's always good to see your amazing introductions. This way, you will also get to know who are the other folks who are joining in as it is a global webinar. Meanwhile, you are giving your introductions here. Let me just quickly take you through the few quick ground rules we have here. These ground rules are set up to make your experience, amazing while you're attending this webinar. So, in case you have any question for our speaker, you can put down your questions in the Q&A box, and that is just beside the chat box where we can see your amazing introductions coming in. And as you can see, the chat box is completely blowing up. So we wouldn't want to miss any of your queries, which might be related to cloud computing careers or also about the program, the Caltech Cloud Computing Postgraduate Program, which we'll be covering today. Also, you can expect a follow-up email from us in case you have missed anything during the webinar and you would want to go through the recording of the session once again. You can expect a follow-up email from us within like 24 hours of the webinar once it ends, and also the webinar certificate. So the webinar certificate here is for attending this webinar, not for the program we'll be talking about, just to be clear. People get confused about that. And also to request a proof of attendance for this webinar, you will have to enter your full name in the post-webinar survey. So what is the post-webinar survey? It is for folks who have joined us live on Zoom. And basically, in the post-webinar survey, it is by Zoom. So once this webinar ends, which is of 60 minutes of duration, you will see a pop-up immediately by Zoom. Either you have joined from your mobile, laptop, or desktop, and it will ask you what name would you like to see on the webinar certificate. So that is really important for us. Because without that, we won't be able to basically prepare a certificate for you. So please help us with that. That is a compulsion here. I will remind of all these ground rules throughout the session. So in case you have joined us just now, don't worry. I'll basically nudge you about the ground rules even during the session as well. So please don't worry. And also I'll nudge you about the certificate towards the end of the session as well. So in case you have any doubts, we'll clear that towards the end. So thank you so much. And also this program is powered by Simplilearn, our world's #1 online bootcamp. We have been in the digital skills training space for almost a decade now, and we are very proud that we have been transforming lives or empowering people here via digital skills like AI, machine learning, data science, business analytics, cybersecurity, cloud computing, which we'll be talking about today, DevOps, full stack, and many more categories we cover from. We have advanced over 5 lakh plus careers in over 150 plus countries, and we have 800 plus qualified trainers. And moving on to the agenda of today's session. So we'll be the first agenda of today's session is about you. We'll be getting to know a little bit about you, how we can help you out in your career better, and how we can help you out in this program in cloud computing also. So in case you have any queries, open to basically address them. Just make sure that you put down your questions in the Q&A box. And the next agenda of today's session is we'll be talking about cloud computing careers in 2024. And we'll be introducing you to the program here, as this is a program preview session of the postgraduate program in cloud computing by Caltech here, and we'll be sharing the learner outcomes of the program. Also, based on the interest you share towards enrollment after that, we will be quickly taking you through the enrollment steps of the program, and then there'll be special duration for the Q&A part. So the speaker will try to take as many questions as possible throughout the session. Whenever the speaker gets time, In case we are not able to address it immediately, please don't worry. Just have a little patience. We'll address it towards the end. So yeah. So we'll be starting with getting to know a little bit about you, as I mentioned earlier. So let's start with a quick poll here. The first poll here is of how many years of experience do you currently have? So we talk about experience here, we're talking about work experience here. So let me just read out these options for you. The first one here is currently studying, second one 0 to 3 years, and third one 3 to 5 years, and the last one more than 5 years. So as I was speaking, I see folks have already started sharing responses. Great, let's give it 10 seconds more. And meanwhile, I'm seeing a lot of amazing introductions. I see Swati has joined us from Kota, India. I see Mohammed has joined us from Ethiopia. I see someone has joined us from Germany, not able to make out your name from email ID. I'm so sorry. Please let me know your name. And I see Emmanuel has joined us from Ghana. Kaushik has joined us from Dehradun, India. Edgar from Philippines. Sumantha from Hyderabad. I see Kenny from Nairobi. Trusha from Canada. And Harnik from Texas, US. And plenty more introductions. I think I see hundreds of introductions on the chat here. So Amin here from Qatar. I see Snehal from London here. So just to, again, a lot of new folks have joined in the last few minutes. Just to let you know that we are just starting the session off. You're not late. We're just doing a quick poll here. And I'm Rashak Khan. I'm your host for today's webinar. And I'm joining all the way from Bangalore, India. So welcome, everyone. I see a lot of introductions coming on the YouTube live chat box as well. I see Chandan has joined us from Bihar, India. I see Rahul from Mumbai, Ayubo from Columbus, Ohio. I see Ibrahim from Paris here. So welcome everyone. We'll be starting the basically the program preview. We're just doing a quick poll here. So I see most of you folks have already responded for the poll here. So last 5 second folks, for how many years of experience do you currently have? So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me end the poll and also share the results with you folks. Let's see what have you voted for. So I see 41% of you have more than 5 years of experience. That's interesting. And 27% of you are currently studying. 18% of you have 0 to 3 years of experience, and 14% of you have 3 to 5 years of experience. I see a lot of folks, again, like more than 5 years of experience on the YouTube live chat box as well. So interesting. It's interesting to have a lot of experienced folks joined us, a majority. That's great. Now, would like to quickly introduce you to our speaker, Andy Lewis. Andy Lewis is the owner of Germany IT Services. He's an expert in cloud computing, cloud deployment, and Java development, and is a certified architect and instructor in AWS, and he's Google certified, Docker, Spring, Java, and I'm pretty sure there's much more we have not added here, but would love to know from you, Andy, here.
Hi, everybody. Welcome and thank you for joining us. So as Rasha just said, my name is Andy Lewis, and I basically make my living consulting and also doing development. I've been developing since 1999 in particularly Java, but a lot of other things. And in the last 5 or 6 years, I've concentrated heavily in the cloud. So cloud infrastructure, architecting, of course, administration and development. So I look forward for your questions.
Thank you so much, Andy. Welcome once again. It's always a pleasure hosting you. So let's move on to the first agenda of today's session, talking about careers in cloud computing in 2024. So let's start with talking about what are the hottest skills in the cloud computing space in 2024, which will be in demand not only in this year, but also in the coming years.
Yeah, so as you know, there's not one slide that can really do justice to everything that's going on right now in the technology space, particularly in the cloud. But as everybody's obviously heard, a lot of stuff going on with AI for the past year, quantum computing, all that kind of stuff. But I see a lot of need for kind of multi-cloud deployments, as you can see on that last kind of bullet point here, where companies are looking to diversify their investment in the cloud, not just put all their eggs in one basket, for example, Azure or Google or AWS. So I see companies basically maybe use several solutions across the cloud. So that's something that this program really concentrates on, is because we cover a couple of cloud providers, right? We cover Azure and we cover AWS, that really the top two in the industry. And so you're really going to get that multi-cloud deployment hottest skill right now. Of course, we're always trying to build resilient, fault tolerant, scalable architecture. So anything that, scales, trying to find services that scale automatically, that kind of negate us having to administrate them ourselves, are always a kind of a hot commodity. For example, serverless technologies that we can talk about a little bit later on. So here are some of the bullet points, but those are the ones I want to kind of cast some light on.
That sounds interesting. Now that we've talked about the skills, how can we miss talking about the cloud computing careers here? So the trending cloud computing careers, which will be in demand in 2024.
Yes. So there are lots of different avenues that one can choose. Of course, you should always go with what you're most passionate about, right? And if also that is very much in demand, well, that's fantastic. So if you're really into kind of machine learning, there's a lot of machine learning jobs out there right now. DevOps is a massive kind of push that's been out there for several years now. And I would say in the last, especially last 18 months, there has been a really a big rise in jobs for DevOps engineers, right? So if you're already a developer and you have some experience on the operational side and you kind of want to do a little bit of both, the DevOps engineers are really great avenue to go into. But whichever one you choose, again, you have to go with what you're passionate about, what you like, right? I would highly recommend always starting off with the solutions architect. That's the first bullet here on this slide. Why? Well, it's really what I call the core of all the other certificates, right? You cannot understand really all the other avenues that you're going to explore without understanding the underlying architecture. So we talk about storage, talk about networking, we talk about containerization, serverless, all these kind of things. You have to know how to put them all together. And that will give you a springboard to then better yourself in the other areas over here. So I would say, start with the solutions architect and then hop on to one of these other fields over here as per your interest. But they're all very much in demand.
Thank you so much for taking you through the careers in cloud computing here. And also, now that we've talked about the skills and careers in cloud computing space, how can we not miss talking about what's changing in the cloud computing space for 24? As we can see, there are a few things here. Obviously, it does not cover all what is changing, as you mentioned earlier, but maybe we can talk about few things which are changing in the cloud computing space here.
Absolutely. So one of the hottest things right now is serverless technology. So that's kind of like a marketing term that's been thrown out for many years already. Serverless just means that, the traditional approach of you before developing an application have to find a machine and you have to install it, you have to configure it, you have to make sure there's multiple machines for high availability and make sure that we have maybe an elastic load balancer in front of there and administrate all that architecture, and we still haven't concentrated on our development, right? What brings us business value is our product, right? So what serverless says is, hey, we are going to take care of all that underlying infrastructure for you. Yes, there are servers, of course, but you're not going to administrate them. You're just going to deploy your application and we'll handle all the rest. So serverless has really surged over the last, I would say, 6 to 7 years, has been a real, mainstream, especially with, combination of microservices, people working with containers, Docker, Kubernetes, all that kind of stuff. The other thing I would say is security, for sure. Lots of security jobs out there. And I would say that also that any job you get in the cloud, they're going to want you to be security aware, because security really is a shared responsibility model. It's not just about the cloud provider, putting security into place. It's also about the employees, the people, the contractors working for the company that need to be security aware. So, in this program, of course, we talk about serverless, we talk about security, and you're going to have a good head on your shoulders, graduating this program to kind of look at, especially those 2 points I just talked about.
Thank you so much for taking us through what's changing in the cloud computing space in 24. Now, moving on to the next slide here. So we have talked about the skills here. We have talked about what's basically changing in the cloud computing space in 2024. We have also talked about the career, basically paths you can take up in cloud computing. We'll be talking about much more in detail about, I think we are have started getting a few amazing questions here about basically career paths in cloud computing. We'll be taking your questions also in some time. Meanwhile, I'm launching a quick poll here to understand what is the challenge you're facing when it comes to pursuing a career in cloud computing or becoming a cloud computing expert. I'm launching a quick poll here. You will be able to see the poll now. Yes. So I'm just reading all these options for you. So this poll is to understand what the challenges you're facing when it comes to pursuing a career in cloud computing. So these options, the first one here is I can't find a program with a fully comprehensive curriculum. And the second one, I wouldn't get the practical exposure I need to become job ready. And the third one, I find it difficult to learn from pre-recorded videos. And the last one, my work schedule won't allow me enough time for learning. So as I was speaking, I see most of you have already responded to this poll. But I think let's give 10 to 15 seconds more. Also, just to let you know, this is a multiple choice poll. So you can select multiple options here because there can be multiple concerns or challenges here, right, which might be stopping you from pursuing a career in cloud computing. And also, in case these four options do not cover the challenges you are facing, so you can obviously let us know. The Q&A box is open. You can go and put down your queries there. Try to elaborate your queries a little bit for our speaker to answer it. That will be really helpful for us. And also keep your question related to cloud computing career or the program which will be covering by Caltech here. Awesome. I see some amazing questions coming on the chat, folks. Would love to see those questions in the Q&A box because we wouldn't want to miss your queries in the chat box. So because whenever the speaker gets time, basically the speaker will address the queries. So please make sure you go and put down the questions in the Q&A box. And also the folks who have joined us live on our YouTube channel, you can also let us know if you have any questions for our speaker. Please go and put down your questions in the YouTube live chat box, and we will be taking questions from there as well. Awesome. I see most of you have already responded for this poll. So last 5 seconds, folks. What's stopping you from becoming a cloud computing expert? So I'll be ending the poll now and also sharing the results with you folks here. Let's see what have you voted for. So we have gotten 49% of votes for I wouldn't get the practical exposure I need to become job ready. And 33% of the votes for I can't find a program with a fully comprehensive curriculum. And 39% of the votes for my work schedule won't allow me enough time for learning. And 18% of the votes for I find it difficult to learn from recorded videos. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. That definitely gives us an understanding of what are the challenges you're facing when it comes to pursuing a career in cloud computing or becoming an expert there. I will be introducing the program here. The Caltech program here, our postgraduate program in cloud computing, where you can basically get access to an industry-aligned learning path, which we'll be talking about much more in detail in the upcoming slides. And also, is the screen visible? I think I got a message on the chat here. Please do let me know. And also integrated and hands-on labs and projects you'll get access to. We'll be talking more about in detail about the capstone projects and the industry-based projects you'll be getting to work on in the upcoming slides, and online live virtual classroom. So they are not recorded videos. They actually are a live virtual classroom. And we will be giving you a live experience of the learning management system as well, through which you can get an idea once you take up the program, what exactly happens. Also, we saw a lot of you folks, 41% of you have more than 5 years experience. So the program duration here is of 8 months. And in case you're a working professional, you can just complete this program by giving 10 to 15 hours per week, which makes it very flexible to fit your schedule. Also, moving on to the next slide here, talking about the Caltech CTME advantage here. So the California Institute of Technology is a 130-year-old institution. And also, Caltech is the home of an alma mater of many Nobel laureates. The Caltech consistently ranks in the top 5 universities worldwide, and having a Caltech CTME on your CV is a prestigious accomplishment recognized worldwide. Talking about the eligibility and the prerequisites for joining this program, talking about the Caltech postgraduate program in cloud computing. So you may be from a non-programming background, that is okay. And you basically prefer to have an associate bachelor's or master's degree here for taking up this program. And also prior work experience is recommended, but it is not mandatory to take up this program. Also, let's talk about how this program prepares you. So talking about how this program prepares you and builds your cloud skills step by step. So we start with the orientation session by the cloud computing program here. And Andy would love to for you to basically take us through these steps here. And we'll be talking about it in much more details in the upcoming slides as well.
Absolutely. So I'm just busy typing away there on the question and answers. Again, if you have questions, please use the question and answer box and not the chat window, okay? So looking at this slide here at the bottom, we have an orientation session. So this is just you getting accustomed to the learning management system, which I am going to actually showcase here in a few minutes after Rasha talks about some other stuff. But that's just an hour or two of just orientating you, making sure you know how to navigate that. The actual course actually starts with the AWS Solutions Architect and the Cloud Fundamentals. Obviously, you know, the Cloud Fundamentals comes before. So the Cloud Fundamentals basically, you know, we have a discussion on what is the cloud, why is the cloud so useful, why do we want to navigate to that, what are the differences between, you know, on-premise, cloud, all those points. And then we take a look at what I like to say is like the view of the forest, right? You kind of look at the majority of the services, what they do in their categories. We get to go into them at a certain level just to familiarize ourselves with them. And then we kind of go to the solutions architect side of things, which is really then going into a deeper dive into every one of those services and knowing how to apply the best architectural patterns for, again, that high availability, fault tolerance, resiliency, scalability, all these terms that you're going to learn, you know, what those mean. Now, after that, you're going to head off and you're going to go to another cloud provider, and that's Azure here. Now, the nice thing, you see, I have a couple of Azure classes, is that you're not relearning everything from scratch. All right. Because once you learn how a cloud provider does things, I would say that you're probably going to start off already at the 30% mark when you go on and you start learning Azure, because a lot of the concepts, actually the majority of the concepts are the same, right? A machine is a machine. They call it something else, right? They have serverless too, but they call it something else. Everybody has names for their own products. Now, those products have certain features that are common and others that are not. So this is where you start learning, oh, this is different in Azure. We didn't have this in AWS, etc. So you're not starting from, you know, the bottom up again when you start hitting Azure here, which is nice. Then we kind of go back and we look at DevOps. So again, this is more of an advanced course that was recently added last year. Because DevOps is so massive now in the industry, you want to know how to automate code pipelines so that when you commit some source code in your repository, let's just take for an example, a GitHub, right? GitLab, whatever, that automatically triggers a whole sequence of events that leads to the automatic deployment of the application, right? Now, between point A and point, I'll say Z, right? This pipeline will automate that whole process. And that's what we take a look at in DevOps and how to monitor that pipeline as well, and to be notified of if anything bad happens or anything good happens, like, hey, we want to know that the application got successfully deployed. That's a nice email to get, right? You don't want to get the inverse email, which is the deployment failed, right? And then again, we teach you how to go in there, figure out what went wrong, and kind of fix it. Now, at the end of all this, you can see here at the top, we have the capstone project. So this is where you validate all of the skills that you learned up this ladder here. Okay. And you can actually put that on your CV and say, hey, I was able to perform these or this capstone project. You just have to do one capstone project. If you want, you can do more than one. There's, I believe, a choice of 3 or 4. So it kind of just validates everything by putting, most of the technologies together and giving you a very challenging objective, right? No one's taking you by the hand here. As was the case in all the courses before. I'm there, I'm helping you, we're talking a lot. At the end, it's really, hey, did I really understand this? Can I put it together? I'll show you where these things kind of lie in the LMS system at the end. But everybody goes through this. People start with different experience levels. I've had an artist, I've had a musician in my courses, right, that have showed up. And I've had people with 10 years, 15 years experience show up, right? And guess what? We all get to the same point. Not everybody understands the cloud, right? They maybe developed on a virtual machine on their computer in a company for 15, 20 years. But, when you go to the cloud, you kind of have to learn a lot of new concepts. How do I develop in the cloud? How do I do that? Right. So a lot of people find themselves on common ground. It's obviously new to a lot of people. So I look forward for the challenge of getting, a wide array of experience there. And my job as an instructor is to make sure that everybody ends up at this top pinnacle here to be able to do these capstone projects and validate their experience in the class.
Thank you so much, Andy, for taking us through these steps, how this program builds their cloud computing skills step by step. We'll be talking more about it in the learning management system as well. So the electives here, as you can see, there are so many electives you can choose from. They are optional and they come as a part of the program. We don't charge anything extra for these electives. It is up to you if you want to take them up. So electives here are Cloud Computing Academic Masterclasses by Caltech, Google Cloud Platform Architect Training, Big Data on AWS, Cloud Security, CSV, DevOps on Azure, and developing solutions for Microsoft Azure, and AWS Developer Associate, AWS SysOps Associate, AWS Database Migration, Generative AI Masterclasses. You get access on electives here. And now moving on to the tools and platforms you'll be covering through this program here.
I'm sorry, Rasha, I was busy there reading a very long question. Can you
No worries,
please?
no worries.
I'm
So,
sorry, it's a really long question and I got caught off guard there. Can you, so we're talking about the tools and the platforms there. Um, yeah, listen, there are, just an insane amount of services out there in the cloud, right? So just for AWS, there are over 200 services. Now, that may be very daunting and intimidating, and who wouldn't be intimidated by that 200 services, right? But we obviously, nobody goes through every single one of those 200 services. I don't really know anybody that knows all of them. They're constantly evolving. There's always new ones coming out. Some get retired, right? But what's important is that we cover, them by category. For example, storage. We talk about storage, we can come across something called S3, right? So you see at the bottom, the red little icon there called S3. That's simple storage service. Simple storage service. 3 S's. That's why they call it S3. So that's just a specific type of storage called object storage. Now, you probably never heard of that. What's object storage? I know what block storage is. I know what storage on my disk is. I know what shared storage is, like NFS shared storage across many computers, but I never heard about block storage. So we go into what block storage is. It's basically the storage of the internet, and all cloud providers have it. Okay, it's just that Amazon calls it S3, Azure calls it blob. Google calls it cloud storage. It's the same thing. Okay. So this is the same for all these services too. If you want a virtual machine, right? If you want to work with a machine on the cloud, we call that a elastic compute cloud, EC2. You see the one all the way on the top to the left, the orange one here, Amazon EC2. That's basically a marketing term, EC2, elastic compute cloud for a virtual machine. That's all it is, right? So if you go to Google, they'll just call it Google Compute. And if you go to Azure, they'll call it a VM, so we teach you how to create a virtual machine, how to deploy applications on that virtual machine. It could be a database, it could be a web server, whatever, you desire to deploy there, we can deploy that on a virtual machine. And we kind of go further. We say, hey, how do we, create a database? Well, there's many types of databases like DynamoDB. And how do we create functions in the cloud that don't need to run on servers that we manage? Well, that's serverless technology. And we have here in AWS something called Lambda that does that. So, we go through all of these categories of services and we talk about what they are, their names, of course, their features, their pros, their cons, and how to put them in an architectural setting so that you can better understand how everything fits together. So it's a process.
Thank you so much for taking us through the tools and platforms learners will be learning in this program here. Talking about the caption projects and the industry-based projects, we did get few questions like what exactly is a caption project, Andy?
Yeah, so these capstone projects here, like I said, I'd probably be best for me to showcase that in the LMS system, which I'll get to, but they're really good to show in your portfolio because they have a high level of difficulty. Okay, this is not a walk in the park, this step. So once you can showcase this on your portfolio, right? Just a description of the project, which you are going to include in your portfolio, of course, will highlight that your skills are over and above just someone just going through, a normal course. Okay. The courses that are available usually online are all kind of, video recorded and then you're done, but you don't have to kind of come up and prove yourself. And you have to prove yourself to get the certificate in this um, program. So you have to actually submit this capstone project, have it graded. And once you know, you're up to the task, then you can showcase that um, to your employers and your portfolios. And honestly, I don't see many people doing that. Right. It's very rare that you'll see someone actually put that in a portfolio, their CV, whatever. These are the kind of projects I've worked on. What's common is someone saying, hey, you can have a look at my GitHub account, let's say, look at, the projects I've worked on. But, not putting this kind of stuff is over and above.
I agree to that. And also the industry-based projects we'll be covering in this program. So we have many projects here which you can basically access through this program. The first project, just to give an example, the multi-cloud connection architecture. And second project, deployment of a multi-cloud application. Third one, multi-web time application. In fourth one, introductory deployment for real-time data management. Fifth project, automating workloads. And the sixth one, configure and connect database instance with the web server, and many more. We'll be talking more about that in the learning management system in the upcoming slides. And here we have global leaders as program advisors here. Rick Hefter, who's the Caltech CTME executive director, has over 40 years of experience in systems development and has served in academic, industrial, and research positions. And John Betts here is the cloud computing program director here, and also has like over 30 years of experience working in the industry, government, and higher education. So the global leaders here from Caltech make sure that Simplilearn is delivering to Aspen standards of Caltech. And moving on to the learning management system here. So we'll be taking you through the elements here of the Caltech postgraduate program in cloud computing. And we'll be showing you basically once you take up the program, what exactly happens in much more detail. I'm pretty sure you have questions about the projects, what exactly happens. I saw basically questions about the courses part. So maybe Andy, you'll be able to explain it more through the learning management system of the program. Yeah.
Yes, I could share my screen now if you'd like.
Sure, please. Let me stop sharing my screen.
Okay.
Also,
All right.
folks, this is a really good time. We have talked a little bit about the Caltech Cloud Computing postgraduate program, and we have already started getting a lot of amazing questions, and we have started answering as well whenever the speaker is getting time. So this is a really good time to basically ask your questions about the program or the cloud computing career in general. So please do that.
Yeah. Okay. So I just want to make sure here, bring up the chat maybe. Can you just please respond in the chat window if you can see my shared screen? You should see a browser tab with Simplilearn on it with yes, perfect. Okay, fantastic. Um, Now, what you see here is just this is more of an instructor view where I've been teaching a couple of these over the years. Of course, we're here in the Caltech one. So when you're going to sign up for the program, you're going to get a username and password. Of course, you're going to log in to simplilearn.com and you'll be brought into this. You'll be brought in here to this panel. Okay, then you'll click on, of course, in this case, the Caltech program. And then you'll be brought to the learning management system. Okay. So remember that diagram or that not the diagram, but the slide we had where we had all the steps moving all the way up to the capstone projects, right? Well, this is kind of that, right? We're at the bottom here, we have the cloud computing. We have the, all actually it starts here, the cloud computing bootcamp, the fundamentals, the applications and architecture in AWS all the way down. So let me just click on this one here. Let's say we're all sitting this class over here. Okay. And what you'll see here is you have a self-learning section over here. So these are basically videos, pre-recorded videos. Okay. And of course, I'm not going to bore you to death with all the videos. I'm just going to show you where they are. And you'll have here all the sections of all the lessons. So when we show up, right, for a live session, after the first day together, I'm going to give you some homework. And I'm going to say, next week we're going to be doing lesson 3 and lesson 4. And so I would like you to go take a look at these videos and get an understanding, a high level understanding of what those topics are. So for example, if you wanted to know anything about, what an EC2 is, again, that's a virtual machine in AWS, right? And so you can look at that and you can formulate some questions here before you come to the classroom. Okay. Or it could also be used as a refresher. Okay. Let's say we covered this, 4 weeks ago. You can come back here and look at all that. So these are all pre-recorded sessions, not with me, but with another instructor, again, another setting. Then, of course, you have the live classes. Now, in this case here, because we don't have anything right now, I can look at past classes and things like that. But when you go to when a class is finished, by the way, it's all pre-recorded. You can actually go to your past classes and download the session. So sometimes you just can't make all of the class. You have life that happens, right? You have, I don't know, a dentist appointment or something like that, right? You can always go and get a pre-recording of the class. They're usually available majority of the time within 24 hours, but I know the service level agreement, I think, says 48 hours, but that's very rare that it gets to that point. Okay. So you get to your class, you'll see it here, you'll click on it and you'll be logged in through Zoom, much like we're doing right now. It'll be a live session. I'll cover some slides. I'll do some demos. You can ask questions at any time, all that kind of stuff. And that's all, again, recorded. Then we have assignments. So at the end of all, we have all these classes, right? At the end of each class, if you want your certificate on this one class, in this case, I'm just talking about designing applications and architectures in AWS. You have to, you can see here certificate, right? If you click on certificate, you're going to see there's a couple of criterias here. It says, well, if you want to unlock your certificate, you need to at least perform one simulation test. So this is, the purple icons here, one of these 2 simulation tests. You got to get at least 70%. If you fail, you can do it up to 3 times. Okay. And then you got to complete one project. That's these orange icons here on the left, these 3. So you get to pick the project that interests you the most. Now, don't be confused with the capstone projects we were talking about before. This is just the end of class projects, not the capstone, which is the entire program. Okay. So I haven't done that. That's why they're not, checked off for me. So you would come here, let's say, pick this one. You got 2 hours to take it. You can take it multiple choice questions. And like I said, you need to get 70% on it. Here you can download a PDF, or it's actually a Word document that describes what's expected of you for this project. So this one just creates a virtual machine that has a web server, and you're connecting to another machine, another virtual machine. that has a database, a MySQL database, and how do you connect them together? How do you make this thing actually work, right? So all of this is your challenge, okay? And once you've got that in place, you submit here your project, and then there'll be a, I think they still call them a teacher's assistant or TAs that actually go there and grade that and get back, get back to you once that's done, okay? Now I said, where am I going to practice all this, right? Well, that's where this practice labs section comes in. Okay, so the practice labs, you actually have access to an actual AWS environment in this case, because we're in AWS right now in terms of the course. But if we were in Azure, we would have access to the Azure console as well. So we can launch a lab. And this is basically a playground for you to experiment with. Okay. So they're going to set you up with credentials to play for about 8 hours. Now I was just testing this out before. It should say almost 8 hours here. So that's why mine's a little bit less than 8 hours. But you basically take this link over here. Let me just kind of shrink this a little bit so I can get another tab. Okay. Paste and go. And they're going to give us a username and a password. And this is all part of the course, right? So you're not going to get charged here with kind of, if you create a machine or you create a database, all that kind of stuff, you're not going to get charged for that. That's part of the whole course. All right. So now if this is your first kind of look at how the AWS console looks like, then of course you must feel a bit intimidated here. You don't understand what's going on. But what we have here is we have all of the services. Remember I said there was over 200 services, right? There are all these categories of AWS services. So for example, if you want to know what was available in AWS for creating a database, you can see many different types of database that tailor to different types of data access patterns, all that kind of stuff. So DynamoDB here, I have a little star because when you click on the star, it shows up as a bookmark up here. That's why. This is what we call a NoSQL database, right? So we get into what that actually means. If you want your traditional SQL database, well, you go under the relational database service service here. So there's 6 different types of databases in here. One of them is MySQL, which many of you already know. So all of these services here, if you want to know what compute services, we have EC2. Want to create a virtual machine? Perfect. Let's click on that. And you're brought to another console that's specifically designed for the majority of the options on how to create virtual machines and what you would need to support those virtual machines. Okay. So of course, this is outside the scope of this webinar, but these are one of the first things we do in the course is take you by the hand and show you how to create virtual machines with specific type of workloads like a web server, attach load balancers, attach scaling groups that allow you to expand and contract the number of virtual machines dynamically based on the incoming load, right? How many people are actually coming into your web application, etc. Okay, so this is all part of the program, and you can do no harm here, right? This gets wiped out after 8 hours, and you just go back in, okay, and you can just restart another one afterwards. So that's how that goes in. All right. Now, if you need any help, right, the help section here is very good. Of course, there's stuff that's kind of, FAQs, you've probably had the same problems as other people, but there's also the chat. Okay. And they're very, very fast with that. I can personally attest to that. I've had some issues, as you can imagine, as an instructor. When you have an issue, you can't be waiting around an hour for an answer, right? So, they've been very good with me the times that I've actually used this feature to get help with pretty much anything that I need. Okay. Whether it's problems with the labs, or I need a share, or something is wrong with my account or stuff like that. Okay. So that is pretty much the LMS system in a nutshell. Again, you have an orientation session that goes through this for about 2 hours, okay? The other classes are the same thing, okay? So once you graduate from one, you go to the next one, you go to the next one, and eventually you get to the capstone stuff that I said I would cover, okay? And this is where, once again, it kind of looks like familiar ground here, right? You have these 3 projects. Okay, so you can see here we have things dealing with multi-cloud. We have projects dealing with working together, again, with a multi-cloud setting with both Azure and AWS over here. Deploying an application using several services. So again, the level of difficulty of these are much higher than the projects in the normal courses as you're stepping up over here, okay? So again, there's always a document here that goes into a little bit more detail, but doesn't give you the answer, right? And then once again, after you're finished playing in the practice lab section and doing this, you can submit your project for grading, okay? And then after all of that, you can get your certificate. You got to make sure you attend, 80% or more of the live classes. You can't just watch the recorded classes, right? This is not like those other classes where you just watch videos, okay? You actually have to, unfortunately, listen to me for 80% of the time, okay? And once they record, how much time you're online and stuff like that. That's how they know. And you do all those projects and the tests, then you'll be able to get, after you do one of these, of course, your entire certificate there. So I hope that answers the questions on the LMS side of things. Is that okay for you there, Rasha?
Sure. And yeah, that basically helps. We have a few questions in the Q&A box. We'll be taking those in some time. But yeah, we can.
Yeah. So of course I can't
Can I
answer.
share my
I
slide also?
cannot. Yeah, you can go back there. Of course, I can't answer those while I was doing that demonstration, but
Sure, sure. You can take your time in answering those questions. I think we have gotten plenty of questions here.
yes, I see that my work is cut out for me here. So I'm going to let you I'm going to let you kind of speak here, Rasha, and I'm going to hit that box now, okay?
Sure, sure. Again, like folks, this is a really good time to put on your questions because Andy will be answering them very actively and we're moving towards the Q&A part of the session as well. So sharing about the learner outcomes here, now that we have covered the learning environment system of the Caltech postgraduate program in cloud computing. Interestingly, the previous classes have consisted of learners coming from world-class organizations like IBM, Microsoft, Oracle, Deloitte, Amazon, Infosys, Wells Fargo, Dell, Barclays, and hundreds of other organizations here. And also they come from diverse industries like IT, software product, BFSI, e-commerce, and many others industries as well. We see a lot of questions of, you come from a different industry. Is cloud computing good for you? Can you actually transition into that? So that definitely makes sense. Like, seeing that learners actually come from different industries and they are trying to transform their career through this postgraduate program in cloud computing by Caltech here. Also sharing few success stories here to start with. Francis here, who basically has given us a review after he basically got done with the program, says that the program was amazing and he was able to grab a job change with a 40% salary hike. The live classes were well planned and the concepts were clearly explained. The next one here is Douglas, who basically says that after completing the course, I have significantly improved my work performance. I'm also expecting a promotion and a salary raise sometime soon. We work with the cloud majorly, and after completing this course, I could propose better strategies based on the learnings of this program. Jumna Sura here says that the course helped me with my career growth. I got a decent job offer with a 50% salary hike after a career break. That's interesting. And we have hundreds of these success stories and more. I think let me just share an alumni testimonial for you so you can watch it live as well. So let me just quickly play this video. This is by Raveen Kumar Jhala, who basically is the Chief Technology Officer of VCNS Global here. And let's quickly go through his story here and of launching new services and how basically he upskilled through this course and basically got a lot of business growth here. So let me just share with you. Let me know if the basically the video is audible for you folks or not.
When you are running a business, you are
just 1 second. Right. I'll just full screen this for you. And I'll just play the video. And this is
Always searching for new ways. When you are running a business, you are always searching for new ways to create fresh source of revenue. I created one for my business last year while launching a cloud consultancy services, or while learning a course from Simplilearn. Hi, I am Ravin Kumar Jala. I live in Mumbai and I am the co-founder and chief digital and technology officer of VCNS Global. We specialize in providing security solutions, IT review, and overall consultancy in technology sector. When you are working with the global players like Marriott, Hyatt, Hilton, Oberoi, and Taj, you have to take care of all their needs. I wanted to cater to customers who wanted to take the journey towards the cloud. So I decided to opt for the post-graduation program in cloud computing in association with Caltech from Simplilearn. And while I was doing this course, I started my cloud consultancy services. So I was learning every day and implementing my learning at my business too in real time. Our customer usually don't know whether they want to opt in for public cloud or a private cloud or Azure or Google or a data center. So we study their business and suggest which cloud service would suit them best. After I completed the course, I was able to structure the whole cloud consultancy vertical for my company. We have added 7 cloud consultancy customers. I think it was a wise decision to take the course. I could actually take the time out to study because the course was flexible. I could access course videos on my phone, so my work did not suffer. So that's how easy it is, even for people working at a senior level like me. At that level, you must devote your time to learn new things to improve efficiency. In business, time is money. So make a wise investment today.
So that was a amazing testimony story by Ravin Kumar Jhala here. Let me just quickly go and share back my slides here. Also, I think we have had a lot of questions on job as a services or career as a services, like do we provide them or not? So just to let you know, for Indian earners here, we have a partnership with IM Jobs, where you get access to premium IM Jobs services with a wide employer network and a resume review and rewrite service as well, where a writer collaborates with you a week before, and you basically get a draft delivered within a week from basically the first contact with the basically expert here. And there are 2 rounds of revisions as well, which you can go through. And resume is a very important part of your portfolio once you're done with the program. As Andy has mentioned, that it is really important to basically put down all of your skills, and also the projects you get to work on through this program to showcase them properly is really important. And also once you're done with your resume, you actually get access to a one-on-one interview service as well. You get to practice this interview sessions with the SME based on the skill set you have in your resume. So it will be targeted towards the maybe a job role you're applying for, and it will basically be also having a continuous feedback session. And also similarly, for basically other learners here, we have partnered with Talent Inc. here, where you get access to again a job portal service. Here, the job portal service is Resume Rabbit, again with a very wide employer network with a verified job search framework to provide unique jobs there, and also a resume review and rewrite service. Here, we have partnered with Top Resume through Talent Inc., and also a one-on-one interview services similarly with Top Interview here. So we have basically covered the program here, and if it all to submit it all, basically you will be getting a Caltech CTME postgraduate certification in cloud computing here. You can see the certificate here by California Institute of Technology, and also you will be getting to work on over 40 plus projects for your portfolio, which we talked about, including a capstone one, and you'll be receiving up to 15 CEUs from Caltech CTME, which is equivalent to 150 hours of learning. That's pretty interesting. And you will get to be a part of the Caltech CTME, a Circa membership. And also, you basically will be getting access to an online convocation. So this makes it interesting because not only you can invite your closest friends or family, you can also invite your far relatives and friends, who actually can join you in this online convocation and make it very interesting and pretty special. And also the job as a service, which we talked about for Indian learners and outside of India learner, because this is a global program. We have partnerships with IM Jobs for Indian learners and outside of India. Talent Inc. is the partner, and you get exposure to prompt engineering, chat GPT, and generative AI, like in the trending prompts here. So we would love to know, are you interested in enrolling to the Caltech's postgraduate program in cloud computing? I'm going to quickly launch this poll here to understand your interest. You can share your interest by sharing a response as yes, and we will quickly take you through the enrollment steps of the program. And also, as I mentioned earlier, there'll be special duration for the Q&A part. For the questions which have not been answered yet, folks who have basically put down their questions in the Q&A box, just to let you know that Andy has actively been answering questions. Please do go and check out the responses there. And if you have any follow-up questions for Andy, you can go and basically type in your question there as well. So please go and check out the answered section of the Q&A box. So we'll give maybe like 10 to 15 seconds for the poll here. Meanwhile, let me just check also folks who have joined us live on our YouTube channel. Folks who have joined us live on our YouTube channel, you can also share your interest towards enrollment into the Caltech Cloud Computing postgraduate program here by going and clicking on the description link. There will be a link on the top of the description, which you can see on the chart as well. You can just click on that, and basically it will take you to the page where you can share your enrollment interest by sharing a few details there as well. For folks who have joined us on Zoom, you can just only go and vote for this poll here, which says, would you like to enroll into the program? We'll give 10-15 seconds for the poll here, as we'll be moving towards the other part of the session, which is enrollment steps and the Q&A. I see questions about the program fee. When is the upcoming cohort? I'll be sharing that in the upcoming slides. We have one question here. I see from Joko from Jakarta, which says that is the job assist for Indonesian from CTME or Simplilearn? So it is from Simplilearn. The job assist services which I just shared, so they are provided by Simplilearn. I hope that answers your question, Joko. Let us know if you have any follow-up questions as well. Jaya is asking what is the cost of the program. I'll be sharing that in the upcoming slides, as I mentioned earlier. And I see Anil Kumar is asking, is the certificate will be given for attending this webinar? Yes, it will be. You will have to stay till the end of the session, which should be next 5 to 10 minutes, and will be getting a pop-up by Zoom, which will ask you for your full name, which you would want to see in the certificate. That is something we will need for folks who basically want the webinar certificate for attending this webinar. A lot more questions coming in the Q&A box here. We have
Rasha, I got a question for you, actually. It might be just a matter of semantics here, but there's a question. Is the postgraduate course in cloud computing the same as the cloud computing bootcamp? Is that just different terms for the same course, or is that really something different? I thought that it seemed to be the same to me, but I'm not 100% sure from Simplilearn's point of view. So
I think bootcamp, the duration of the bootcamp is much more lesser than the postgraduate one, is something we're aware of.
Okay.
It's much more longer compared to the bootcamp.
Okay, so the postgraduate course in cloud computing is longer than the cloud computing bootcamp. Okay, yeah. Fantastic.
Bootcamp basically is supposed to be faster and shorter, and to quickly get you through the skills basically which you want to excel in. But yeah, like
yeah, I think I remember now. I don't think it has the DevOps in there from the last time we had this question a couple of months ago. I think I remember now. Yeah, good question. Thank you, Rasha.
Welcome. I think we have gotten plenty of responses for this poll here. So folks, last 10 seconds, would you like to enroll into the Caltech's postgraduate program in cloud computing? And any questions about the program and or cloud computing career, the Q&A box is open. We'll be basically taking those questions live as well. Awesome. I see a few responses on the YouTube live chat box as well. Folks who are interested in enrolling to the program, sharing as yes. Folks, you can quickly go and click on the link which you see. on the top of the description on the live chat box right now. It will take you through the page where you can share your interest towards enrollment. Okay. Awesome. Last 5 seconds, folks, for the poll. I'll be ending the poll in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me end the poll. Thank you so much for sharing your responses here. And from the polls which I have seen, I think we will be seeing a lot of you in the upcoming cohorts. So let me just quickly take you through the enrollment steps of the program here. So now that you have already shared your interest, so the learning consultants from Simplilearn will be reaching out to you, and they will be taking you through these 3 simple easy steps, which I'll just give you an overview of, so you are aware basically what exactly is going to happen. So the step 1 here is you will have to submit an application to us at askus@simplilearn.net. And based on that, your application will be going for review. The Caltech CTME will be reviewing your qualifications based on the eligibility and the prerequisites I've shared with you earlier. And based on that, you'll be getting admissions offer from the Simplilearn's learning consultant. And you'll be getting that over mail. And also, while they get on a call with you, they actually will be taking you through a much more detailed walkthrough of the program as well. In case you have any questions, so please don't worry. Even if the webinar ends, I'll share with you an email ID where you can drop us an email as well after the webinar, if in case you have any questions, or even after that, they will be actually answering any questions you might have about the program or concerns you might have. So you don't have to worry about that. Also, a lot of you have asked, like, what is the upcoming cohort and what is the program fee here? So the program fee for basically US candidates out of India is $4,500, including GST. And we also have financing options available, because I think few of you have asked, like, if I can go and pay in monthly installments, is there any financing options available? So yes, we do have that. You can go basically for any amount as low as $396 per month. Now, for Indian candidates here, the fee here for the program is 1,59,000, including taxes, INR. And again, we also have financing options available here as well. You can go for EMI as low as 5,411 rupees per month. Also, for folks who, I know that a lot of you have joined from different countries here. So for you folks, to check it out for your own region, I will be sharing the program page link here. Once you basically go to the program page, you can just check it out for your own region as well, the upcoming cohort and the program fee as well. I'm sharing that on the chat here. Please, you can quickly go and click on that and basically go and check it out for your own region as well. In case you have any questions about the program fee, because I saw a few questions that what will be the program fee for my own region and when is the next immediate class which is starting. So now to talk about the cohort. So the next upcoming cohort, the induction session will be happening on 6th of March. And the classes for this will be starting on 6th of April. Also, folks, we have limited seats per cohort. We only take 25 to 30 folks per cohort in order to make sure you're getting all the attention that is required when you're taking up this program. And also, in case you need any more assistance, you can reach out to us at askus@simplilearn.net. I'll just share that email ID with you quickly on the chat here. As I mentioned earlier, I'll just quickly put down that email ID on the chat for you for your reference. So you can drop in us a mail in case you have any queries about the program, or if you would want to explore the programs as well. So please do that. So moving on to the Q&A part of the session. So I think, Andy, you have actively went and answered a lot of questions here on the Q&A box. Folks, please do go and check out because we have answered many of them during the session whenever the speaker has gotten time. But right now, maybe, Andy, if there are any repetitive questions you would like to address as well for the folks here, which will help them, you can also take up maybe 1 or 2 questions you might have answered, which were repetitive.
Yeah, well, some people wanted to know, like, when's the best kind of time to start, because they're already studying, right? Whether it be engineering or computer science. You know, should they wait to enroll after they're finished their studies, you know, in the middle? What's the best kind of thing to do? And I would say that the best time is now. And the reason for that is because you're going to start seeing how you can do that engineering or that computer science in more efficient and effective ways by using the cloud. One of the things when you're doing engineering or you're doing computer science is that, you know, those courses, they have you kind of build all the infrastructure up by hand and then do kind of the project. Whereas the cloud, you're going to start noticing things like, hey, I can actually start my project a lot faster and easier and have everything managed for me if I use these particular services. And I could maybe test my, you know, my engineering simulations that I'm working on or my software applications that I'm working on at scale, right? I can actually throw a huge amount of compute power that I don't have access on my little laptop, in my course, right? In university, let's say. So it's going to open up your imagination to other possibilities by knowing the services in the cloud and how, like I said, it will complement what you're currently learning. So that's my advice. That's something that came up, I think, at least 3 or 4 times there.
Also, I see one question here about credits. So I've answered that. So 15 CU credits will be provided. I'm assuming that is what you're asking about. Please do let me know. Let me just look at the name as well. Who has asked this question? I'm not able to find. Jacqueline here is asking about the credits here. So if credits,
Yes.
if you are basically talking about the CUs, so I've answered that 15 CUs will be provided. That is equivalent to 150 hours of learning. And I think also, like Jacqueline has asked, like a really good question: is the course taught by a faculty from Caltech, or is it just a certification from Caltech with someone else teaching it? Andy has already asked. This is for everyone here. A certified instructor like Andy will be basically teaching it. However, the program is associated with Caltech. So I've already talked about the credits here. So I think we have actually answered most of the questions here. What is the cost here for training for West African countries? For that, Aliu, I have shared the program link for you here. I'll just share it on the Q&A box for you here as well for your reference. You can check out the program fee for your own region through this link very easily. And let's say I'm browsing through questions.
Yeah, well, a lot of these seem to be kind of already answered in regards to the cost, like you said. And there's some questions here. There's a question here. Will this give access to Simplilearn's Masters of Masters bundle? I'm not understanding completely that question. I don't know if Rasha, you can read into that a little better than me.
Yeah, I think someone is asking, like, will this give access to the Simplilearn's Masters bundle? So we have a Masters program bundle as well. So
Okay.
no, this will be a postgraduate program. The Masters bundle is a different thing. But yeah,
Okay.
I hope
Okay,
that.
so not the same thing. Okay.
Okay, I think
Gotcha.
we have answered, I think, all the questions here. Thank you so much, folks. We will be ending the session now. We have exceeded the session timing by a few minutes just to address all of your queries here. Thank you so much for being an amazing audience. Again, just nudging once again about the webinar certificate here. For folks who basically want the webinar certificate for attending this webinar, you can basically go and put down your full name in the post-webinar survey, which will pop up now when I end the session. So please make sure to do that because we will need those details to give you the certificate. And also, Andy, it's always a pleasure hosting you, and thank you for taking us through these free
Thank you,
tips.
Rasha.
Would you like to say something to the folks before we end the session?
Yeah, I hope to see a whole bunch of you in the course coming up in the next cohort. I love teaching. I hope that kind of came across in this webinar. And like I said, the cloud is really very much in demand. So it's never too late to start. It's not something that's slowing down. So if anybody's really considering that as a career move, whether it's a complete new career move or complementing your existing skill set, I highly recommend that you do. I did it all the way back in 2017. I reinvented my own skill set back in 2017, and I haven't looked back since. So I hope you guys have the same success story.
Thank you so much. And based on the interest we have seen in enrollment into the program, I think we'll be seeing quite a few of you in the upcoming cohort. So thank you so much, folks. We'll be ending the session now. In the post-webinar survey, there'll be a space for feedback as well. You can let us know there. And I think the questions about the credit, Jacqueline, I have shared the email ID with you. I'm not aware of exactly what you're asking. Maybe someone from Simplilearn, the learning consultant, will be able to answer your query, much better than me. So I've shared the email ID there. Please drop us a message there. And thank you so much, folks. We'll be ending the session now.
Bye, everyone.